Good day, everyone. Good time zone, wherever you might be. How are you doing? Let me check. Oh, lighting looks pretty good. I was messing with the lighting, and unfortunately, I can't see through my camera before I put it on the stream. But yeah, it's not bad. How is everyone? Look, a fancy new music widget thing. Ooh, not that I can use licensed music or anything, but yeah. Yes, happy Pride Month to everyone out there. Whatever creed you may be, celebrate this time. And tolerate the immense amount of corporations trying to earn money from your identity. Let's see who's here. I love Salari so much, I want to squish him with my hands. If I had a nickel for every time I heard that. Dio, aka Steve, how you doing? Oh, Curie is just jumping up on my desk. We'll see where that goes. Happy Pride Month to you as well. It's nearing the end of your birthday. Happy birthday, Pokerage. How are you doing? You have a good day? You celebrate? You go out to eat? Party? Anything like that? All my birthdays are very low-key. I don't like to do too much for my birthdays. Long history behind that. But yeah, my in-laws and my wife like to do things for my birthdays, even if it's just small, like go out to dinner or something. But yeah, parties, asking for disaster. My dear wife, D. Salari, hello. Even though you're in the other room. And he made it. Hello, how are you? Sly Fox. I don't know about Hooray, but boo anxiety. Yeah, anxiety is awful. That's kind of why I took off last week. I wasn't feeling great. It's all about, like, you know, social energy and whatnot. Like everyone's got like that social battery that they deplete at different rates. Like some people have like a huge batteries. Me, it varies really. Like I was talking to my wife about it earlier, and I said like the way that my social battery works is like James Cole, if you're here, thank you for subscribing. My social battery works like I don't know how full mine is until I have to use it. It's kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of like using your phone or another device without being able to see the battery bar on it. So like sometimes I'll like go to a social thing or on a stream and I'll be like, you know, oh, you know, I'm flourishing, I'm doing well here. But then sometimes I'll go and like, oh my god, I am empty already. Like I need to find a corner and stare at my phone all evening. Hope you're doing well, Salari. I'm doing better than last week. Yeah, still, you know, trying to stay level-headed and whatnot. Took half a Clonopin before this, so hopefully that'll help. Luna, happy Pride Month, and to yous as well. Thank you very much. How you doing, Luna? Wellspring Phoenix, message retracted. I don't know if you did that or if the bot caught it. I'm not sure. It doesn't show, but hello. Roman Ellis, hello to yous as well. Ivan, and excuse me for this, Lujik, is that right? Watching ads without skipping means that you get more cash monies, right? You know, I've never been 100% sure on that one, because, you know, sometimes people will get like 30-minute ads, sometimes even longer. Like what my wife will do whenever I release a new video is that she'll like open it on a phone, and she'll get ads on that. And sometimes she'll just let it run, and she's had ads that last like what, an hour or so? Like what? I remember you had one last time. How long was that ad? Do you remember? Roughly? So yeah, I've never been 100% on that one. If any One Piece fans are here, I've uploaded a really fun video called Whitebeard Unkillable Soldier by Sabaton. You know, I've never watched any One Piece, and it's always been one of those things that's a little daunting to get into because there's so many episodes, and you're just like, I don't know, like there's lists online of like truncated ways of watching it, like with the removals of the filler arcs and stuff like that. But yeah, maybe one day, if I'm in a bit of a content drought, because I've heard good things about it overall. The thumbnail is kind of sad, but I think people who unsub to streams are more likely those who are mildly interested in the content anyway and dislike the stream motif / thumbnails in the sub feed. Well, you know, well, first of all, Argon, hello, how are you doing? I have my own theories about it, and I kind of similar to what you just said. You'll get people, you know, that just don't like seeing people streaming, like they don't see like those appearing in their feeds. You'll also get like people that subscribed a long time ago when like maybe my content was a bit different and they hadn't watched anything of mine in a while, and then suddenly they'll see my stream pop up, because YouTube does a weird thing where it like actually gives streams from the people you subscribe to priority on your front page. So they might see that pop up and think like, oh, I forgot I was subscribed to that guy. I don't know what kind of people go out of their way to unsubscribe to people, unless it's like with malice, because personally, like, I've got loads of people I'm subscribed to that I haven't watched in years, but I don't go out of my way to clear my list or anything like that. But who knows, you know, it is what it is. Salari doing what corporations used to do, which is add the rainbow around this time. Lol JK, you're amazing and thank you for the safe space you've given us. Oh, of course, yeah. That's kind of the, I guess, unfortunate things about, like, one of the unfortunate byproducts of the whole corporations celebrating pride stuff is that, like, I guess some people end up feeling like, am I pandering by doing this? Because honestly, like, I end up feeling that way. Like, if I put like a, because sometimes I'll put like a pride flag variation on the Discord server for the server icon, and I've had people make jokes about, like, you know, like, oh, it's corporations doing that kind of thing, and I know that they're joking and everything, but it has kind of ruined that element of celebration, you know, and that's a bit sad. But you know, I'm sure people can tell the difference in general. But I have noticed less corporations doing the whole pride flag thing now, which is interesting. I don't know whether it's like because people saw through it, or whether it's because those who get upset at that kind of thing started to complain too much, or a combination of both. I actually did bring up in a video, I can't remember which one it was, but where I was talking about like how Target, they ended up including like pride clothing in their stores, and then they removed it because they got actual threats of violence on the store, which, you know, is completely reprehensible. But yeah, after that, I think they kind of curtailed the whole pride celebration stuff, which is really sad that they had to capitulate to that. My stream, whenever I like move my chat window thing with the mouse scroll, it always like jumps so far ahead. Personally, I was a casual watcher until the stream started. Now I'm a dedicated fan. Well, thank you very much, Rowan. And it is nice to have you around, and you know, I've seen you involved in the Discord, and you becoming a fellow baker as well, which is, I really love it when I see someone share their bakes in the Discord. I don't always respond to it, but I do. It does elicit a smile whenever I see someone sharing stuff, even if it's their failures. I always love seeing it, and if they ever ask for help, I'm always willing to give a hand in some kind of way. Where is Kat? Let me try and show you where Curie is right now, because she isn't in the most ideal position to be visible. Let me switch to my phone camera for a moment, assuming it'll work. Here we go. There we go. Yeah, there's her butt, surrounded by RGBs. Repo. Wait. Say hi, Curie. Yeah, that's her right now. So yeah, she's here. Technically, I guess. Excuse me. Throat's a little bit clammy today. Janali 1978, thank you very much for being here. Happy Pride Month to you as well. Doing good, Annie? Glad to hear. Hi, Gay. Hi, Gay. Hi, right back to you, Gay. Hello, MKL. How are you doing? Starting with a tech issue. Did I have a tech issue? Sorry, there are leaf blowers outside again. I don't know if you can hear it, but they're there. Happy Pride Month. This is a month at the butter shop. We're running a special deal. Oh, do tell. I didn't realize butter shops were a thing. But I'm intrigued. I won't lie. I do love some good butter. I'm similar. I feel somber on my birthday. Is not really a mood to party. Yeah, I do too. You know, I get caught up in like the whole like mortality thoughts, all that kind of stuff. You know, it's not exactly conducive to a festive time. I'll say that. Okay, Curie has emerged from behind, so let's see her again. 1 second. We'll try and get her attention. Try not to look desperate. Curie. Hello. Turn around. Turn around. Here. Yeah. Please don't swipe me. She's been swipe happy recently. Come on. Don't go there. Oh yeah, you may notice that the phone camera looks a bit nicer now, and that's just because I got an upgrade recently. I didn't go too fancy. I got a Pixel 8a, and I got quite a bit of money off it from trading in and a special offer that they had, so that was quite nice. I don't think I'd ever want to spend like more than like $400 on a phone. Like the fact that there are phones out there that are like $1,000. I do not understand why you'd spend that much on it. I love my birthday, really chill, and I ate some delicious food. Also, I got a lot of snacks yesterday. See, that's an ideal birthday. Just, sorry, the leaf blower is right outside the front door, and my front door is like 10 feet away. Okay. We're good, I think. I don't do much on my birthday either. Yeah, I think that is that becoming like more common now? Like people are just not doing much. You know, celebrations are expensive. So, you know, that's a big part of it as well, I think. Add that biscuit stick with the strawberry dip. I think I know what you're talking about. Like the one that comes in a packet with like the 2 sections on it. One of those unreliable charge readouts. Like it looks like it's at 80, only for it to jump down to 40 in the course of a few minutes. Did I lose track of something here? Unreliable charge readouts. Oh, like the battery things. Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah, talking about the social battery thing, yeah. Hey, I love your channel, followed since the eyeball zone. Ah, you've been around for a good while then. Thank you, John Hendricks, that's very kind of you. Always appreciate hearing when people have been around for a while, and that they stuck around too. But thank you, that's very kind of you. How are you doing? I'm finishing a traditional painting. Are you using, because I know you do like digital stuff, Annie, are you using digital or like more like watercolor, oils, etc.? And yeah, if any of you are ever, you know, if any of you are artists or anything like that, bear in mind in our Discord, you know, we do have a channel where you can share your stuff. And if you want to ask for like criticisms, or if you just want to show it to people, always feel free to do so. Everyone there will be nice. You won't have anyone dumping on your work or anything like that. We don't put up with that. Had a 45-minute video ad and a 30-minute ad on the same video. Yes, that was so an hour and 15 minutes of ads in a video that is 30 minutes long. No worries about my last name. It's really hard for English speakers. It's Liulich, like that. Wanted you to know that your Persona 5 video encouraged me to check it out, having not played JRPGs since Xenosaga 1, and I loved it. One of my favorite games ever that aligns with my politics. Yeah, Persona 5 and Persona 5 Royal are still fantastic games, despite its problematic elements, as we discussed in the video talking about you know, how it very much leans into the male gaze. My only ever like grievance with Persona 5, and it's Persona 5 Royal. Actually, I can't say it because it's too much of a spoiler. Yeah, I'll have to leave it. Well, I mean, that's the thing with spoilers. Like, you never know how long you can use them or anything like that. But all right, I'll try to de-spoilerify it. So there's like one bit in the game where like they're talking about helping other people out. Like someone wants to help the world, but they're doing it in a way which is like not good. I can't think of a better way to describe it, but they're doing it in questionable ways. It's not terrible, but yeah, it's like questionable the way that they're doing it. They're like altering reality. And there's one thing that was said by Morgana, the cat-looking character, that always rubbed me the wrong way. And they're talking about, you know, he's talking about helping people, and he offers his reasons and everything, which is honestly pretty solid. And then Morgana comes out and says something along the lines of like, but what about all those people who face adversity and want to help themselves? By helping everyone in this way, you're preventing them from a victory. And I'm like, wow, that is awful. Like, what about people who have like awful disabilities that like completely ruin their life, or cancer or poverty or anything like that? And there Morgana's just saying, like, you know, what about all the people who, you know, just have basic stuff that they want to work on? Like, what about the people who just want to, like, you know, exercise more often? Yeah, it's a weird moment. It really is. Doesn't ruin the whole game, but it was one of those things where I was like, wow, fuck that. I'm afraid if I get started on One Piece, I'll get stuck into something that's much bigger than I have time to go through. Yeah, that's, you know, with over 1,000 episodes, that's going to be inevitable. Sumi, hello, how are you doing? Hi Salari, Mrs. Katz and friends. I hope you're all doing well. I'm busy cleaning up my house, so I got you one in the background. Well, good luck with that. You gotta clean anything in particular, or is it just a general kind of thing? Nakoda Katia Armeria Ch. Like me. Oh, and some part in Japanese. Like me. Ah, good to know. I'll have to ask, what is the Japanese part of your name? What does that translate to? Oh, and there's the jump. Alright, I'll try and catch up a bit more to this one, because I am very much behind. You're not pandering by showing your support, it just means that you believe that minority members deserve rights and representations. And yeah, you know, I guess, you know, with my case and the case of many other people who try to, like, you know, project the existence of Pride Month and its importance, it's a case where, like, actions speak louder than words, really. You know, you have when it comes to a corporation, like, what are their actions when it comes to actually projecting the voices of LGBTQIA people? Or is it just them just putting a rainbow on stuff? And, you know, most of the time it is them just putting a rainbow on stuff, and obviously that's not enough, and it is something that is ultimately exploitative as a you know, as a tactic goes. It's like, look at us, we're being inclusive, we're, you know, we're cool with the gay people now, we put rainbows up and stuff, so come on in and buy stuff, you know, all of you are welcome. And it's like, didn't used to be like that though, did it? Honestly, just as many queer people feel depressed during Pride Month as feel celebratory. Really? Do tell. I'm interested, because I haven't, I'll be honest, I haven't heard about Pride Month depressing people, so I'm curious about that, genuinely. Right now there's online discourse about bringing cis-het boyfriends to Pride, which is getting hilariously lambasted. Are they saying that you shouldn't bring them to Pride? Because that's kind of odd. Because I think that Pride Month in general, you know, should be just everyone celebrating LGBTQIA people. So to exclude people, I think that's kind of weird. I remember the whole subsection of brain rotten conservatives being, oh my god, they have a tucking piece for children. Oh yeah, god, I could get started all day on that stuff, but god, these people just need to get over it. Seriously, it's just tiring hearing all this garbage from them, and people getting angry at like drag shows and stuff like that. Like, who cares? Like, just let these people live their life. They're not hurting anyone or anything like that. Just do your own thing, you weirdo. Corporations aren't suckering me, and that's good. You know, it's good to be aware of that stuff. There are people that fall into the whole thing of like, ooh, they're doing pride stuff, so I'm gonna go buy more things, but not really look at the implications behind it. It's a double-edged sword in a way, because in one way, yes, large corporations actually acknowledging the existence of LGBTQIA people and you know, not burying it or anything like that. You know, as much as you hate to say it, these companies have a tremendous amount of reach and influence. So adding that to the idea that you know, queer people, trans people, etc., they should be recognized, there is good to it. Like, it's something that we don't like to admit, but there is good to it. It means visibility, you know? Even if it is visibility for the sake of bringing in more sales. And, you know, main reason why they do it these days is because it's financially safer for them to do so. In the past, they wouldn't do it because, you know, queer people, trans people, etc., acknowledging them or anything like that, having ties to them, they used to see as like a calculated risk. But these days, there's far less of a risk, so they just lean into it. I love the baking streams. Yeah, the baking streams are great. They're tiring, I will say that, but I love doing the baking streams. I think my next stream I'll do a baking stream. And I will probably make the Madeleines in that stream, since last time we did a vote on the Discord. Blueberry muffins narrowly won. And those muffins were excellent, by the way. Not to blow my own trumpet or anything like that. The only downside is that there was too many blueberries inside of them. Like, it was so packed with them to the point where you couldn't really get the cake. But yeah, I'll try making Madeleines in the next one. I did make some cookies recently, and last Tuesday I did make a babka, which, so let me pull up a picture of it. I posted it in the Discord, but I'm proud of it, so I want to show it again. Okay, yep, here is the babka that I made. It's a chocolate babka, and if you don't know, a babka is basically an enriched bread, which is kind of like brioche, for example. It has like more fats inside of it, so like milk, milk, eggs, that kind of thing. But yeah, it's that with chocolate streusel in the middle of it, so it's all swirled throughout the whole loaf of bread, and I like putting a nice thick layer on there. So you like roll up the bread, braid it together, put the layer of streusel on it. So it's one of my favorites by far. I would love to bake something like this on stream, but there's two problems. One is that you have to prepare the dough the night before, so it has to stay in the fridge for at least 8 hours. And then even once you finish doing that part, you have to like, once you get it all set up like this, once it's all rolled and prepared, you have to wait for like another 2 hours, and then it's another 35 to 40 minutes to actually bake it. So yeah, it's a bit time consuming, unfortunately. Maybe one day I'll figure out how to do something, but yeah, that's the other one. Oof. It's so good. If you ever want to, if you ever want to challenge yourself with baking, make a babka. They're so nice. There we go. That's the middle of it. all those lovely chocolate swirls, and it's got like a nice chocolatey crust kind of thing on the outside as well. It's excellent. But yeah, that's one of my favorites. Time consuming, but worth it. I'm gonna bake bread today right after I eat lunch. Yeah, bread is one of my favorites to bake. What kind of bread are you making? I'm so far behind because I'm seeing the comments about Curie's butt now. Tell you what, I'm sorry I'm skipping chat messages here, but yeah, I do need to catch up. It always happens. The butter shop is a copy pasta. I will admit I am not up to date with the copy pastas, but is there a joke inside there somewhere? I'm not sure. I do unsub from a fair amount of channels with more live stream focus because it clogs the sub feed too much. I guess that makes sense, yeah. Yeah, I feel, because you know, YouTube's streaming side of things isn't fantastic. On one hand, you could say that it needs like its own tab, but I feel like if that happened, a lot of streams would end up getting overlooked because, you know, when it comes to the user experience of looking on a website, people want everything that they could want on that front page. It's like, you know, even like search for something on Google, it's rare that anyone goes to the second page. It has to be on the first one. So with YouTube, it's kind of a similar thing. You want the stuff that you're interested, that will be interesting to you right at the front. But that's also the downside as well of like being a smaller channel and not getting as much exposure as a larger channel. It's very double-edged. But yeah, as user experiences go, what these designers want is the less clicks, the better. I gave Curie a nice brushing before stream and she won't even show it off. No, she won't. Actually, maybe I need to... She's on my USB cable right now. 1 second. Okay. I'll try and get a shot of her in a moment. Why are they blowing leaves in June? Good question. Yeah, I don't see any leaves outside. The only thing I've seen that could be blown away is some dry dog poop that one of our arsehole neighbors has been leaving near the tree outside. I just realized our car was right next to that. If that did happen, I hope that dry dog poop didn't hit our car. That's a weird sentence to say out loud. Pride is a word that upsets a lot of conservatives. What it means is that we want to be treated fairly, to be represented as being part of humanity. Absolutely, and people, you know, when it comes to that conservative mindset, I think a lot of people just see it as like trying to, as I've said in videos before, take power for themselves, rob power from those who already have it. That any kind of publicity or, you know, projecting of a different group of people is an attempt to seize power, which couldn't be further from the truth. It's about redistribution, really. Nice to see you. God damn this chat. Oof. Sorry, the chat is just so weird right now. It's just going so back and forth as soon as I scroll it. Use acrylic paints. Ah, acrylic's fun to work with. I wouldn't mind doing a acrylic pour sometimes. Nice to see you, Sarah's Victoria. How are you doing? Play Persona 5 and not Royale. Yeah, Royale is worth playing. I wouldn't play it immediately after 5 though, because it is very similar. But yeah, Royale, if you ever wanting to revisit it in the future, I'd recommend playing... I keep saying Royale, it's Royal. Yeah, I'd recommend if you ever revisited it in the future, play Royal. You can generally find it pretty cheap these days. 5 years is the spoiler timeline. Yeah, I think that's fair. To be honest, I even think it's shorter than that. Like, you know, we always talk about spoilers and like what should the cutoff be. Personally, I think like a year, to be honest with you, because, you know, if you think about, say, like movies, for example, like movies get released onto streaming services very soon after they've been in the theaters. Like, look at Dune Part 2, for example. Like, that was in the theater for like a minute, and now it's on HBO Max. So accessibility to media is quite a bit easier, and even things like video games, they go on sale pretty quickly. So it does open it up to a larger audience. So I don't know, like, yeah, I've always felt like if you have a year, you've kind of had your chance, and you have to leave yourself open to potentially being spoiled at that point. But there is also some evidence out there that knowing a spoiler for a piece of media doesn't impact the enjoyment of it, if all. I don't know how it's measurable, but I have seen stuff out there saying like it actually isn't that big of a deal. But people do treat spoilers like, you know, the absolute worst thing. And I'm just like, I mean, I personally don't care if something gets spoiled for me. But, you know, each to their own. Also, hello, Glithic. How are you doing? Nice to see you here. My big problem was Makoto looking at the system and saying, "I'ma be a cop." Yeah, that was bullshit. Like, okay, good luck with that, Makoto. In fact, I did get inspiration for potentially doing a video from Persona 5, or I guess another video from it. And that was when in the game they stated that in Japan there is a 99.9% conviction rate, which I didn't know was real until I read it in that. I looked it up, and yes, it turns out it has the highest conviction rate in the developed world, and that is staggering. And there's so many reasons behind it as well, and I found it fascinating. But the only reason why I never visited it is because the amount of research required on that subject would be staggering. Like, I'd have to really get in deep behind like, you know, cultural norms, the legal system, etc. Yeah, it's so much. Maybe it could be like a long-term project one day, but I imagine something like that would probably take upwards of a year to put together. It's fun to see people try because it's hard to make sounds you're not used to, and I don't mind when people don't get it right. I'm fine with just Ivan. Okay, that's good. Yeah, you know, it's always worth trying. People mess up my last name all the time, to be honest with you. Like, most common thing, I look at my name and I think like that's an easy pronunciation, but like I get Salari all the time. In fact, and I'm not going to call this person out, but someone once asked me to do a bit for their video, which I gladly obliged to. It was a fun bit. But when they introduced me, they, you know, despite having prior knowledge of me, still introduced me as Salary in the video. I was like, okay, whatever. Just put the link there, that's fine. To answer you, it causes a lot of pressure, anxiety, Pride Month. To answer you, it causes a lot of pressure and anxiety, fear of encountering exes, corporate and state enforcer propaganda, shallowness, just lots of in-community rubbish for many. I see. Yeah, that stands to reason, I guess. You know, you have more exposure equals the potential of more risk in emotional aspects, and obviously, you know, potential exposure to police and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I get that. I guess it's like, you know, it's easy to look past the idea of, it's kind of like birthdays, I guess. Like, some people feel a bit more cynical about events, and they have perfectly valid reasons for doing so. So yeah, I get that. There's a tap room I like to go to for beer. They hosted a drag show and someone threw a rock through their window. They put a sign by the broken window, "This is what hate looks like." That's a good way of putting it, yeah. I mean, it's best to point out stuff like that. It's just so gross. Like, how the hell does that impact your life? And if they're just doing a drag show, if it's like not for kids or anything like that, because that's the thing, like, drag has existed for like, I'd probably say at least like a few hundred years or something. I mean, there was even like gender switching in old plays. Like Shakespeare, for example, would famously have people of different genders playing genders other than their own, which, you know, that was such a normalized thing, and now it's just, you know, the worst thing in the world to these people. They're only angry at drag people. Well, they're angry at drag people just because they have so much more fun as them. Just horribly jealous. They think they're brave throwing rocks through a window to make a statement. Like, you go out in public dressed as a woman, like, that is bravery like that. Like, myself, for example, like, I really admire women's clothing. I think a lot of it is so nice, especially compared to men's clothing. And, you know, I wish, for example, that I could go out in public wearing a skirt. And I know what people would say. You can do if you want to. I don't have the bravery for that. It's not like a masculinity thing. I think it is more like the fear of judgment, really. Because you will be judged. And the people who do make those statements, those people who do actually take the, you know, make the dive and wear something that makes them feel comfortable with themselves, like, bravo to them. Like, that takes a lot of courage, that does. Simple things like that can take so much courage. Courage which I don't have. So personally, I use MMOs to dabble in gender expression. That's my way of dealing with it. You know, I have my catgirl in Final Fantasy XIV. I love playing dress up in that. Gives me some chance, you know? Yes, the babka. Thank you for the babka compliments. I do wish I had more. I do have a bit left, but it's gone a bit stale. I do have some cookies, actually. Let me go get a cookie that I made the other day. Yeah, these are nothing fancy. They are classic chocolate chip cookies, except I use these very nice chips that were supposed to be for cookies, or like basically make it nicer, have like a wider spread of chocolate in them. But yeah, really nice chunks of chocolate in there. They are damn good. I'd say of all the snacks out there, donuts and cookies are like my two biggest weaknesses. Or chocolate chip cookies specifically. I have a soft spot for them. And if you're interested, I can post my chocolate chip cookie recipe in the Discord. It is super, super easy, and you probably have the ingredients in your house right now. Minus the chips, but you know, you don't need them. I wish we could try food over the internet. That would be ideal. Scientists, get to work. Put the cancer stuff on hold for a moment. Work on that. I used to make babka-inspired scones with a plain dough with chocolate spread rolled up into a swirl. Ooh, that does sound good. It looks lovely, and it's funny because in my country babka looks a little bit different, but your version looks delicious. What does babka look like where you live? I've seen different forms, like, you know, with cinnamon and such, but yeah, I haven't seen anything that looks too different. Yes, when it comes to LGBTQ plus matters, actions definitely speak louder than words. With actions to support LGBTQ plus, you know that it is genuine and does more to support our community than words. Yeah, just like anything else in life, words are but air. It is actions that mean the most. The butter shop is where high gay comes from. I may have to look this up because, like I say, I'm in the dark here. I'm becoming boomified when it comes to my meme knowledge now. It's a circular tall cake. Most versions are without any filling. It's traditional Easter cake. Interesting. I'll have to see if I can find that. I didn't even know the live stream was happening until I saw it in my subs a quarter hour before it started. I will say I put the notification up fairly late today. I meant to do it last night, but yeah. But then again, that's just YouTube for you. They're terrible at notifying you about anything. Like, even when you have notifications enabled for a creator's channel, it doesn't always do it for you. Not me visualizing the dry dog poop on the car. As long as it doesn't dent the car. It'd be weird telling your insurance that. I used to make babka-inspired scones with plain dough. Oh, I just read that. Pardon me. Looking forward to the remake of Persona 3. Yeah, I played through that recently. It was really good. Lots of nice upgrades there. And they made it so that the social links are all fully voiced now, which has been something that has been very absent from the Persona games. So I look forward to seeing Persona 6 with them including it in that, hopefully, whenever Persona 6 comes out in like 25 years or something. I had an outline for a video essay of my own all about spoilers not being a big deal, but being a video essayist is not for me. Give it a try, honestly. Like, that's... I mean, I didn't think I'd be a video essayist, and yeah, I'm not like the biggest name out there or anything, far from it. But it's worth a try. Just, even, I always say, like, with anything creative, like, even if you never share it with anyone, you made it, you know? You put your effort into something, you put your passion into it, you did something because you wanted to do it, and therefore it's worth trying. So, give it a shot. You can download a trial of some editing software, whether it's like Sony Vegas, like Premiere, I think that was like a 14-day trial. Wondershare, Filmora, just mess around, like, you know, if you don't know your editing softwares. Or DaVinci. DaVinci Resolve, that's a pretty good free one. But yeah, just mess around with it, honestly. For me personally, spoilers take a big chunk of fun and excitement, but a great story remains a masterpiece whether I know how it ends or not. Yeah, absolutely. Like Old Boy, for example. I've mentioned on numerous occasions how Old Boy is a masterpiece of cinema. I still maintain that. It has a huge twist at the end of it, which I won't say, but it is like a big, like, bombshell twist at the end. But I can still watch that movie over and over and over and not be at any disadvantage in anything. If I could, you know, erase that part of my knowledge and watch it again, like, that'd be great. But there is still an excellent story and film there. Because, you know, no media product with a twist or anything like that in it doesn't survive solely by its most shocking moments. It survives as an entire product. Saman Vamusa, hello, how are you doing? If I got a job, I'd say that Salari has been credited to my account. Hey, there are worse things to have on your account. Thanks, Salari, that was a validating response. Just such a hard month for me and a lot of other queer people. I understand that better now, yeah, you know. Like I said, it's like with any celebration, not everyone takes it well. You know, just go at your own pace, really. And if anyone criticizes you for it, I always find it is best to be just open about your feelings in these situations. Because, you know, on my birthday, as I mentioned earlier, I have always been not great at the idea of celebrating it. Like, I get down on my birthdays. And for a long time it was like I had people just straight up criticize me, like, you know, you shouldn't be this way, it's your birthday, it should be a happy occasion, all that kind of stuff. And it's like, I don't feel that way though. Like, this is what birthdays made me feel. And as soon as I started like being open with how it made me feel, like, people accommodated that. Like, they didn't try to pressure me into having a party or do anything too big or anything. They just let it be low key. Like last birthday I had, my in-laws and my wife tried to like encourage me to do a little bit more, like go out to dinner or something. But on that day I just said like, you know what, I just want to like stay in and order a pizza or something like that. Like I'm fine with that. That's all I need. And we did, and it was nice, you know? We all have our own needs in those respects. And it's always good to communicate your needs as well. In my state, it's illegal for a kid to be in a place that primarily serves alcohol unless they have a parent or guardian present. So it's not even like it's corrupting kids or anything. Yeah, that does make it so much more worse. Like, and you know, a lot of conservatives out there, they love holding kids up as their shield for like morality and everything. And you always get those parents to say stuff like, oh, how am I supposed to explain to my children what a transgender person is? How am I supposed to explain to them like two people of the same genders in love with each other? How am I supposed to explain it? You're the parent. That's your responsibility. The existence of other people is their existence. If you chose to be a parent, if you chose to bring a child into this world, then it is on you to explain the world to them. And if they're confused about anything, you have to give them the truth on it. That's all it is. Like, how am I supposed to explain gay people to my kids? Just tell them two people of the same gender are in love with each other. Simple as that. Like, how is it that complicated, really? How do I explain it? I don't know, maybe you're a terrible parent. Bigots were recently talking about how Romeo and Juliet wasn't cast in a historically accurate way, and someone pointed out that in Shakespearean's time it was basically a drag performance. Yeah, most of Shakespeare's plays was. Also, if we're going to talk about Romeo and Juliet being like, you know, politically correct or anything like that, or historically accurate, Romeo and Juliet, I believe they were both 14 years old in that story. So yeah, I'm not sure I'd want that to be accurate in the performances that I see. Men wearing skirts should be socially acceptable already. There's some comfortable in the summer months. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, you know, shorts suck. Like, men's shorts suck. Women get to wear nicer shorts. Something that works with their form better. They can also wear loose shorts if they want to. But they can also wear skirts. There's that flexibility there. Men wear like baggy shorts, I guess. I don't like wearing shorts as well. I'd like to just like have a nice flowing skirt or something like that. Perhaps something dress like. And then you even have, you know, places like in Muslim countries where they got ahead of the game and they have those long, loose-fitting white outfits that they can wear to stay cool in very hot climates. It's just so weird, you know, how it just was taken off the table for men. Oh, you can't wear skirts. Why not? You can't. Women wear them. Okay, well, women also wear pants these days, so why can't we wear those now? Because I'll make fun of you if you do? Okay, that seems good for everyone. Another win for the patriarchy. I didn't realize we felt so similar about gender expression, using games as a proxy for that, and fear of experimenting with clothes due to potential judgment and even hate. Yeah, it's always something I've felt for a very long time, and having an ability to actually do some expression is cathartic. You know, at least there's something out there that doesn't potentially pose much risk. You know, I'm in like the environment of an MMO, there will be people out there who do make those judgments, whereas like, you know, oh, well, you're a guy, like, why are you playing a girl? And I was like, because they look nice, I like dressing up. But it's nowhere near as bad as like going into a supermarket as male presenting and wearing a dress or a skirt, and then just having like people stare at you. Like, It's far more safe the other way around. I respect drag queens because I could never do my makeup that good. Yeah, I mean, they're extraordinarily good at their makeup. The best sculpture of gay men has embraced wearing kilts, even though we were more typically masculine type of gays. I didn't know that that was a thing, that it started wearing kilts. But that's, you know, that's a step forward. You know, the kilt does have an interesting history in that it does have like some connections to masculinity, you know, with Scotland's past, etc. And with Scottish weddings, you'll often see men like groomsmen and the groom wearing kilts in those too. Quesadilla, hello, how are you doing? It's been a little while, hasn't it? How are you doing? Nice to see you here. Or am I forgetting something here? My memory's been like a sieve recently. Alcatraz, greetings from Mexico. Hola, ¿cómo estás? Terrible Englishized Spanish. I apologize. How are you doing? Nice to have you here. Luna, thank you for coming by. Enjoy the rest of your day. Always appreciated having you here. I went to Niagara Falls this week for the second time in my life. Everyone in the east coast of the USA should do it at least once. It's very cheap and is more incredible than anything made by men. Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing that someday. And the Grand Canyon as well. Like stuff like that. When it comes to like landmarks and everything, or tourism, that kind of thing, I've always been reluctant to like visit man-made places. Unless it's like got like a ton of history behind it. But like, you know, say for example in London, there's like the London Eye, which for all intents and purposes is just a very large, what do you call the ride again? The ride where they're in the pods and they go around. Something wheel. Ferris wheel, thank you. Yeah, a very large Ferris wheel, and I've seen it, you know, I used to live in the UK, I've been to London a few times, and yeah, like it's just a large Ferris wheel, who gives a shit? But like seeing something like the Grand Canyon or Niagara Falls or anything that is just like, you know, had thousands upon thousands of years which resulted in its creation, stuff like that is fascinating. And it's always the kind of thing that like you can't really comprehend until you see it in the flesh. Yeah, anxiety, it's a wonderful thing. But as I mentioned earlier, got a bit of Klonopin in my system, so I think that's helping right now. I'm that annoying person who tells people to lighten up, but everyone sees things differently. Yeah, you know, it being encouraging is fine when people are feeling down. It's always the thing. You know, in regards here, like we're talking about people not enjoying the birthdays or celebrations. The ones that I think that are the worst offenders when it comes to trying to elevate someone or trying to lift up their spirits is the ones that get critical of someone for being down. Like, you know, oh, you're ruining your own birthday. And it's like, technically you're ruining it because you're making me feel worse about not enjoying my birthday to the extent that everyone else thinks that I should be. So yeah, and yeah, it's toxic positivity. It is very much a thing. It's my partner's birthday today and we're just parallel playing right now and he's happy as ever. Sometimes less is more. Absolutely. We all have different needs. What are you playing? Out of curiosity. Explaining to a child how different types of people exist isn't an impossible feat. No, it's easy as hell. Like, it's not that hard. And I think it's like that weird fear, and I use that word fear loosely because it's like, it's not really, I mean, well, I guess there is fear there. Yeah, there is fear, you know, fear of the other. But like that whole idea of how do I explain this to my children when it comes to like queer and trans people, like that whole thing is like, I think I think like conservative people have that genuine fear that like if they teach their kids about queer and trans people, they think that like their kid will just immediately want to become queer or trans. You know, they, instead of trusting a child to look at these aspects of humanity and the spectrums of gender and sexuality, they think that like, oh, if I teach my child that there are people out there who aren't pleased with their assigned gender, then they'll want to do the same as well. Like, it's just going to be a trigger for them to immediately want to switch. Like, oh, I'm going to teach my kid about trans people. And then suddenly the next day, your kid comes up to you and is like, Mom, Dad, I want to be this gender now. It happened. And it just does not work that way. And, you know, as a result of that, they have an extra layer of fear because when that day comes, or if that day comes, sorry, the parents aren't well enough informed or accepting of these different creeds, and they won't know how to accept it. But the thing is, you know, a lot of the times when you have like more conservative parents, on many occasions, not every occasion, just to be clear, but on many occasions when they have a family member who comes out to them, you know, whether they are queer or trans, a lot of them will accept it because it's someone that they love who is this now, who is recognizing what they are and putting that forward and saying to them, like, you know, I am the child that you raised. Like, I am the person that you love, and this is what I am. And I'm communicating that with you. And if you love me, you should be accepting of this. And generally, that has helped people accept it. It shouldn't take all of that. Absolutely not. Like, it shouldn't take them having a child deciding that their identity is something other than what the parent would accept. You know, by default, society should be accepting of people of different backgrounds, but as we all know, it's not that simple. But that's generally how that kind of situation ends up working out. And obviously there's horrible situations out there where, you know, a child will tell their parents and their parents will just automatically reject them, send them out the door packing, and, you know, no child of mine is going to be this. And, you know, those people are awful. There's a special place in hell for them. But, yeah. Odd situations. I will say that. Transgender woman checking in. Skirts are so much more comfy and warm. And warm? It's winter here in New Zealand. Putting my skirt over the oil heater is a nice warm experience in the cold. That does sound good, yeah. I never thought of skirts as being warm, to be honest with you. What a flexible piece of clothing. Asia and Africa invented comfortable wrap clothing that's fun and convenient to deal with. Yeah, you know, and those, funnily enough, like, you have areas of the world which have, like, excessive amounts of excessive amounts of patriarchal norms baked into their culture, but there'll still be cultures that are like, yeah, wear a skirt. No, it's hot out here. That's perfectly fine. Or, you know, something that at least resembles a dress, for example. Sometimes I want to get into Final Fantasy XIV and play a male Viera just so I can experiment with a slutty mask presenting fashion. Go for it. I once had a female Vieira character, but I ended up swapping when I got a Fantasia. But unfortunately, with even though like the female Vieira in the game look great, the choices in hairstyles are so limited. And the big reason why I chose Mikote in Final Fantasy XIV was because they have the most hairstyle choices. If they had more hair choices, like just as much or even more, I'd probably switch to Vieira again. It has been a while, been good. Hope you've been doing well too. I've been doing pretty well, yeah. Here and there, you know, but coping, surviving, living. But I'm here. Yeah, what have you been up to in the meantime? Yes, Ferris wheel. Thank you all for telling me it was a Ferris wheel. I had a huge gap in my memory there for a very common thing. I've been on a Singapore Flyer, that version of their London Eye, and it's fun. See, the London Eye, like, it is, like I said, it's just a big Ferris wheel where they have, like, fancy pods with a TV in there and everything. It might have changed since I went on it, since, you know, it's probably 10 years ago since I've been on it. I was quite young at the time, but yeah, I was just like, okay, this is a Ferris wheel. What now? Should just put, like, you know, some games on it or something like that. Or you can bungee jump when you get to the top. It's a horrible idea. Just bouncing between messing around in creative Minecraft and crocheting. My mother's been crocheting recently, actually. My mother has arthritis in her hands. And she used to love knitting, but she can't do it anymore because it hurts her hands. She has like a bone growth on the side of her thumb. But she's gotten into crocheting recently. And she's been making blankets and hats as well. Very nice. It's always good to see your parents keeping up with hobbies and such as they get older. Because you find that a lot of parents, as they age, they just sort of like sink into the... you know, into the trap of like just watching TV all day and not really doing much. Hey Salari, sorry about the sub situation. You might have to enlighten me on that one. Oh, sorry. Oh, God. It's okay, I appreciate it, yeah. We were speaking a bit about it earlier, and you know, like I said, even though I can't figure out exactly why it is what it is. It's not like I can go out there and beg to all of them to come back. And even if I could, I wouldn't. I may not have that much pride, but I have enough to keep me from doing that. I think the right way to support someone is acknowledging and accepting their feelings rather than invalidating. Genuinely trying to understand why someone feels that they feel instead of judging. Yeah, and that's just one of the major tenets of human existence, really. To understand and to be understood is the greatest freedom that one person can have, that all of us can have. It is the barrier that separates us that we need to remove, and we can only do that by talking to another person and learning about them. Even if that is painful, even if that is something that you don't want to do, it's worth doing, because otherwise, how are you supposed to come to any kind of consensus with each other? I remember a time when I saw this really beautiful red purse, but for some reason I got scared of it being in the women's section, and it's usually me being confident. I don't know why I felt that way. Yeah, I remember I went through a little bit in the past where I was really into unconventional looking shoes. Like first of all, it started with like Converse sneakers, you know, the high tops. And I was looking for just like different looking designs, because all these other guys started wearing high tops, and it was always like the red, black, or white ones that I'd wear. And I'd worn those, you know, I was a bit ahead of the curve. I was wearing the high tops before everyone else started. And so I was just like, well, this is kind of boring now. So I want to branch out a bit. So I'd go looking for like the more weirder looking high tops. So like I found out like just different colors. Like I got a pair of pink high tops. I got a pair of yellow high tops as well. But first with the pink ones, like I remember I went to a shoe store and I saw a pair of pink high tops and I thought, God, those look great. Like they're not too bright or anything like that. You know, they're just right, just a shade under magenta. And I ended up asking the person there, like, yeah, hey, do you have these in size? Full disclosure, I'm a size 13 shoe, size 13 US. My feet are massive, and it is very difficult to find shoe sizes when you're a size 13 or even size 12 or above. So, yeah. I ended up like asking like, do you have these in a size 13? And I didn't expect them to have it anyway, you know, just for the sake of being open, because rarely does that happen. Size 12 in the UK, by the way. I don't know what the European sizing is. But I asked him like, do you happen to have this in a size 13? And she just gave me this weird look like, why would these be in a 13? I was like, I don't know, like, aren't you supposed to have different sizes? And it's like, well, these are women's shoes. Well, what makes them women's? And she said, the pink. Like, and yeah, and there weren't in the women's section as well. Like, this store was like disorganized. And yeah, just the women's shoes, like looking at me like it should be obvious. And I was like, well, can you get a men's version of it? And so she looked up on the system, and lo and behold, there were men's versions of it too. So she learned something that day, to not be so gender normative. Sounds so smug. But then I broadened out. Like, I found some really nice brogues with like some frills on them. I can't remember the brand name. It was something like Bulldog Shoes or something like that. But yeah, they had like these really nice frills on them. They were just like, they weren't like sticking out frills. They were just like part of the design, kind of like salsa shoes. Then I managed to get like a really nice pair of like white loafers. And then one of my favorite ones that I got were these red sparkling loafers that looked incredible. Like, they were so over the top, so gauche. And I practically had to wear a suit to make them work. Like, this isn't just something that I could just put on with a pair of jeans. So I got into like a habit of wearing a suit for a good bit, which was kind of annoying because, not for me, like, I liked it, you know, I liked how I look in a suit. But like, I would ask people like saying to me like, you know, ooh, doing anything special? I was like, no, I'm just wearing a suit. It looks nice. I feel nice in this. And I try and vary things up a bit. Like, I got this really nice suit jacket that had like these nice vertical stripes, like it was cream and brown. It looked fantastic. Got some nice sort of dark brown pants to go with it. Doesn't work too well with the red, but the red was dark enough that it made it work. I wish I could get back more into fashion stuff, or at least like, you know, working with style and everything. It is something I've always enjoyed, but God, is it expensive. And after moving from one country to another, I had to leave most of my wardrobe behind. I brought like 3 pairs of shoes with me because everything I brought here was what I could fit into my check-in luggage and a little bit into my carry-on. I'm now getting AARP ads every two ad breaks, and I'm like, I don't know a single veteran. They are wasting their money on my time. I mean, maybe it's some web activity that did you look up old people recently by any chance? Like, web activity tracking is weird because like I use the Google News feed thing on my phone, and the other day I ordered some USB-C cables online, just regular charging cables, and then next thing you know, I'm getting a bunch of articles popping up with all different kinds of advice on USB-C cables, like which USB-C cables will give you the fastest speed, which will give you the fastest charge time. I'm trying to see if I have one right now. And of course, I bet it won't. Some stuff about hard drives, because I bought a hard drive like a year ago. Anyway. So you're into the cool colors. You're ahead of the curve indeed. Yeah, colors are great. I wear a lot of black these days, which, black is always fun to wear, but, I would like to branch out a bit more. Starting with a almost brand new wardrobe when you're in your adulthood sucks. Like, I do not recommend doing that, because having that at least like some catalog of clothings to work with beforehand at least allows you to incorporate some elements of your past, your present, your future, etc. And as I've spoken about in a video before, finding good men's clothing in America is awful. It's so bad that last time when I visited the UK, I stocked up on men's clothing there, because I'm like, okay, here's where I find the good stuff. I'm going to get some stuff here. Hold me over for the next like year or so until I can, find something different. Instead, in the US, I'm just stuck with flannel. Endless amounts of flannel. Every time I hang out with like other white guys with beards wearing flannel, I'm afraid that I'm going to accidentally end up as part of their podcast about microbrewing or home beer brewing. Just a hunch. People here dress horribly. I won't lie, there is a bit of a cultural differences when it comes to dress. And I'm not criticizing people for how they dress. I'll be upfront, like, people dress in their own ways. It's perfectly fine. If that's your choice, that's your choice. I'm not going to criticize you. But I've noticed like differences in like Europe versus America. Like, and even my wife, like, she noticed it too when she visited the UK, in that it seems like there is like a conscientious effort to try and adhere to more of a stylistic choice, and also while incorporating like features of comfort as well. So it's not just being stylish at the sake of your own inconvenience or anything like that, which I think is a perfect approach to style, fashion, etc. You want comfort, you want style, and mix that all together. Perfect combination there. Because you can like how you look in an outfit, but if you don't feel physically comfortable, that can ruin the whole situation. I hate how t-shirts are limited to black, grey, white, red, and blue as colors. Yeah, that all sucks too. Like, there needs to be like some more detailing on t-shirts that isn't like a big print on the front or anything like that. That would be great. I love that. It's why I like a good polo shirt sometimes, especially if you have like some more adornments on them. But I'd say like my favorite thing when it comes to shirts, or at least, tops, for men at least, is I really love a good embroidered button-down shirt. Like anything with like embroidered details. Like you've seen in my video, I've worn like that blue and black shirt with the roses embroidered on it. That stuff right there, that's my jam. If I go to a thrift store looking for clothing, embroidered shirts is like top of the list. Second on that list, probably a nice vintage looking blazer, maybe a bit of tweed. As I recall, there was a time when pink was considered a masculine color. It's sanguine. That's true, yeah. In fact, it was only around the 70s where blue and pink became separated by gender norms. Before then, it wasn't like really anything, to be honest. It was just whatever colors, whatever color. But because of like marketing efforts from like clothing companies, entertainment companies, etc., blue and pink ended up gaining their association. So it is a very recent thing in the grand scheme of history. I need to get knee-high leather boots to compete my leather and kilt look. I don't have the money to buy them in time for Pride, but maybe for next Pride. That would be a good combo, yeah. Varying it up, making it different, making it your own. When I worked in a retail store, I remember old ladies fretting over whether not a baby onesie was for boys or a girl. It's a baby. Who gives a shit? That's, you know, I was saying like the other day to my wife, I can't remember, we were watching something, but like it was this family that was giving their like 1-year-old baby a huge birthday party, and I'm just like, why are you doing that? That kid does not know what's happening right now. Like, you can show them like photos when they get older, when they have like comprehension of reality, but doing that for a, I won't lie, like if my wife and I had a kid, which, you know, we don't plan on having children, but if we had a kid, like, I think I'd just say, maybe let's just like get some cards for the kid, for the baby, for the 1-year-old, and then, you know, when they're older, if they want to look back on it, that might be a thing. But birthday wise, they don't need one. It's fine. They won't care. They're not old enough to care. They're 1 year old. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm being a bit too callous there. But they did overdo it. I will say that. Like, they had a whole thing, loads of people around, like a 3-tier cake and all that kind of stuff. It was ridiculous. How's life? Love from Romania. Well, thank you very much for asking. It's alright. Bit stressful here and there, as you can probably infer from the title of the video. But you know, getting by, I guess, is a nice way of putting it. How about you? Shoes can make an entire outfit. Unfortunately, I tend to stick with a single pair I love and wear it till it's no longer functional. I'm kind of the same way too. Like, I look for shoes that I feel would work with anything. Like right now, I have a pair of boots that pair with pretty much anything that I have. Even if it's like sweatpants or something, they work with those. Let me go get them, actually, because they have a nice little detail on them. One moment. Okay, so here they are. I've had these for a while now. They do need a bit of a polish, as you can tell from the tips. But two features that I really like on them. One, they have this nice little adornment of this belt right here. It doesn't serve too much function, admittedly, but I do like it as a nice little bit of flair on it. And two, they're actually zip-up boots as well. So these are like my everyday boots that go with pretty much anything. And yeah, I really don't like lacing up / tying my laces all the time. So it's nice just to be able to have these at the ready. In fact, that does need a bit of tightening. And then just be able to zip up. And you know, they look good. But that's my go-tos. Outside of that, I just have a pair of sneakers that I'll put on if I ever need it. But you know, just having something like that, something that you can just fall back on if you need it, something that you don't have to think too much about, and it has that little bit extra that, you know, gives it a bit of personality beyond other things similar to it. Like, you know, a good pair of Doc Martens or, you know, a pair of Timberlands are nice, but these aren't like any brand name things or anything. These are stuff that I found like a discount shoe store. And it didn't cost the earth at all. But, you know, they stood out. And they're pretty good build quality too. They have yet to fall apart. Alright, tell you what. I realize that I'm like 30 minutes beyond my usual break time. Turns out my social battery was pretty full today, I guess. But it's also lovely to have so many of you here. Last time I streamed, I had like 17 people here, so it's nice to see that I've got 44 concurrent right now. That's very nice. I appreciate that. But yeah, I will go on a 4 or 5 minute break just to recharge, get more liquids, stretch, etc. And you should do the same. In the meantime, question of the day is, what shows have you been watching recently? I guess you could include anime if you want to, if you're so inclined. But yeah, what shows have you been watching recently? I will be right back. Hi Rebecca Ed, how are you doing? But yeah, I'll be right back 4 or 5 minutes. And you'll probably see some ads in the meantime, but that's fine. See you soon. Alright, I am back. I have another cup of tea brewing, so I'll need to step away in about 4 or 5 minutes, but it shouldn't be a moment. Let's see. Oh yeah, I'm gonna do a cat update real quick. Where are they? 1 second. Okay, still got Curie here by my side. Here we go. Still got a back turned. Turn her around. There's Camus. He's doing much better these days. Alright. She's too tired to be social. But yeah, Camus, as you may know, Camus was under the weather a little bit back. But luckily he's mended quite well. We had to put him on steroids for the past week because he was having some issues with his asthma. Usually with changes in weathers, he ends up like having some struggles with breathing. But luckily, he seems to be better now. He was like, it changes his behavior though, because like it makes it so like he ends up sleeping in weird places. Like he would end up just like laying flat on the floor because I think it was getting too warm. And usually he sleeps in the bed with us next to my wife. But he wouldn't because I think it was getting him too warm, and his appetite is insatiable on steroids. Like he would want food all times of day, and he already likes his food way too much, so a little bit unbearable at times, but he's doing well. I don't know if I'll miss you here, Quesadilla, but Quesadilla, if you're still here, thank you very much for stopping by. Hope your appointment goes well and enjoy the rest of your day. Hope to see you again. Nice seeing you again. Alright, so shows. We finished watching Shogun yesterday. It's incredible. Yes, Shogun is amazing. Watch Shogun if you haven't already. It is so damn good. And it's been renewed for a 2nd season and a potential 3rd season. They made an interesting arrangement with FX, the network, where they basically said that once the 2nd season is finished, if you feel like you have a 3rd season in you, then you can go ahead with it, which is kind of unheard of. But yeah, watch Shogun, is so good. X-Men 97, enjoying that nostalgic vibe. I watched X-Men 97 later after it was airing. I remember it was shown on a UK TV network. I can't remember which one, because we used to get shows pretty late in the UK, but I used to love that when I was a kid. And I remember one time there were new episodes of X-Men showing on TV, and it had been ages since they had new episodes, and I started recording it on like the DVR thing, and then suddenly a family friend comes around and says, we're wanting to watch this football match, but we don't have satellite TV like we had. And I said, would you be able to record it for us? And so like, I don't think it was like on a DVD-R or something like that. But the thing is, that was also through satellite, and you couldn't record 2 sources at the same time because it needed to be on that channel for it to record it. So this family friend ended up taking precedent over me. So I never got to watch those episodes, and they never re-aired them again. Heartbroken. And clearly it affected me because I still remember it to this day. But yeah, I have been curious about X-Men 97 because I have heard it is quite good. And yeah, I do have very fond memories of that show. I recall that Rogue might have been like one of my early childhood crushes. Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Kimi ni Todoke, and Komi Can't Communicate. I've watched Brooklyn Nine-Nine is good. It's got some ebbs and flows quality-wise, and I will say they handled that last season quite well, despite the fact that, you know, with cultural changes, with the you know, growing distrust towards the police and the overall negative perceptions of them, they handled that stuff surprisingly very well. Which, you know, doing a sitcom about police and how fun and goofy they are, that wasn't an easy task, but they did a decent job of it. But Komi Can't Communicate, I've watched that. It's a very charming show. I thoroughly enjoyed Komi Can't Communicate. I don't know if it's getting another season. I don't think they ever mentioned anything about it. But yeah, if you haven't watched it, give it a try. It does do the awkward anime objectification thing with, you know, young female characters, which sucks, but it is a very endearing show about the importance of communication and acceptance. We stand Tadano, good kid. I've been watching Scavenger's Reign with my father. We're about halfway through the series currently. Scavenger's Reign, I've never heard of that. What's that about? Called Keep Your Hands Off Aizuken. It's a love letter to animation and animators. It follows 3 teenage girls who are goofy gremlins as they create their own anime. I kind of it's probably completely off base, but it reminds me off the top of my head of Asobase, I think. It was like a after school club thing where they play like these games afterwards, like these 3 girls. It's a very, very weird anime, but it was fun. Lots of screaming. Salari and I have been watching White Lotus. We'll finish the last episode tonight probably. Yes, we shall. White Lotus is very good. It's 2 seasons so far. It is about these this hotel chain called the White Lotus, and both seasons have different characters in them. It is about like the, you know, the elites and the intoxication of wealth and power and how that can affect basic human relations, and how also they interact with people who are like workers and such. Everyone in the show, practically everyone in the show, is not likable, and for obvious reasons. But it is a fascinating watch. It is rich with imagery, symbolism, and a tremendous amount of depth when it comes to character explorations. It is deeply uncomfortable at times, I won't lie, but I highly recommend The White Lotus. It is really damn good. Funnily enough, I found out about that dude who created The Good Place was co-creator of Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Yes, Michael Schur. He is a very valuable commodity to NBC, so much so that they basically put him on retainer for millions of dollars. But he is a very talented writer. He also cut his teeth on The Office as well during its better seasons. But yeah, very funny guy, that one, Michael Schur. As it aired, we watched X-Men 97, which is probably the best thing Marvel has done on TV. Might I say even better than WandaVision. I never watched WandaVision, but I did hear it was good in that it tried to do something different compared to other Marvel stuff. But yeah, X-Men 97, because I do have a soft spot for it, the original at least. I might check that out at some point. Rewatched The Hobbit. The movie? Or was there a TV series of that? Currently pretty sick with fever and I need something to turn off my brain too, so I rewatched Archer from the first season. I really like those early seasons of Archer. A lot of it has not aged well, I will say that, and they have improved it over time. But there were some genuinely like very clever jokes in that one, and I always enjoy a smart joke. And yeah, R.I.P. Jessica. I forgot her last name. She was on Arrested Development as well. Very, very, very funny woman. What was her name? I feel bad for forgetting her name. But she played Archer's mother. Too busy grinding this summer to watch TV. The only thing I'm watching is my net worth grow. Sigma life. Last night I watched Sal Volcano from Impractical Joker's first stand-up special on YouTube. I did not know he had one. I've heard his stand-up is actually quite good, so I'd be curious to watch that. I have actually been re-watching Impractical Jokers recently, and it still makes me laugh to this day. I watched the episode recently where where Joe won and the other three guys had to undergo the punishment, and it was the greatest punishment ever, where each of them had to get a tattoo of Joe's choosing, and Sal ended up with a tattoo of young Jaden Smith on his thigh. For no reason, just randomly Jaden Smith. I'm not selling it very well because the moment is perfect. It's great. It's on YouTube somewhere, I think. Today I watch my region's film, and I'm going to butcher this pronunciation, Brahma Yugam. It's also a super film black and white shot, and twists are so eye-opening. I have not heard of that either. What's your region film? Is that like something made in your country you're referring to, or like something made in your particular region? And I also finished re-watching Schitt's Creek while watching from home. Schitt's Creek is great. I loved Schitt's Creek. That was another thing that was solid throughout. Got a little bit too saccharine near the end of it. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was really good. Another show, Abbott Elementary. Abbott Elementary is really good. Yeah, that is one of the best sitcoms on TV right now. Very, very heartwarming show and very, very funny. Some very talented people work on that show. I need some foreign film recommendations. Well, one that I watched recently, which was by, it's another South Korean film by Park Chan-wook, the director of Oldboy. Decision to Leave is fantastic. Park Chan-wook is an extraordinary director. He's still amazing at what he does. It's sort of like a murder mystery thing. To keep it brief, there's this thing where it's about a detective who ends up taking on this case where this woman is accused of murdering her husband after they went rock climbing and he got pushed over the ledge and died. However, the more he learns about this woman, the more he ends up getting closer to her in a way that sort of like influences and distorts his judgment of her as a person and her potential involvement. It is marvelous as a method of storytelling goes. Like, it's that fast-paced, very economical method of story where it doesn't linger too long on one thing. It lets you, the audience, piece it together with minimal information, and it does it so well. It's so good. Decision to Leave, watch it. It's so damn good. Best film I've seen this year. Not that I've watched many films this year, if I'm honest. A Swedish detective drama with an unlikable protagonist, a selfish, lazy, laid-off prosecutor teams up with an asylum seeker from Somalia to solve crime. Detective from Beledweyne. That does sound good. I wouldn't mind watching something like that. Interesting premise, I will say. Sounds like there's quite a few social elements baked into that. Given that Europe right now has some pretty unfortunate takes on immigrants and whatnot. Well, you know, that's been throughout history. UK recently, I don't know if people have heard about this, but the UK have this awful policy that I don't know whether it's gone into action yet, but they're trying to make it so that asylum seekers automatically get sent over to Rwanda in like housing complexes for them to live in. It's an awful, inhumane scheme to do that, and I'm not saying it's inhumane to send people to Rwanda, but it is just like the rejection of helping other people. It's like, we don't want it to be our problem, so we'll just send them off somewhere else. And people have done the numbers for it and found that it would actually be cheaper for the UK to house an asylum seeker than it would be to send them to another country, because the UK is basically footing the bill for Rwanda to house these people. So it makes no sense. All it does at the end of the day, you know, the whole argument with immigrants and asylum seekers coming into the country is that they're taking their money and taking the jobs and all that kind of shit. But it's like, well, they're spending more money on these people anyway, so what's the win here? That you just don't have them nearby? Yes, that is the win, if I'm honest. Britain is full of horrible, horrible xenophobes. Jessica Walters, that's it. Thank you very much, Pokrush. Yes, R.I.P. Jessica Walters. Hi Salari and everyone in the chat, just stop by and say hello and say I'm a big fan of your work. Well, thank you. It's great that you're doing live streams. I hope you're doing well. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that, genuinely. I hope you're doing well as well, Poloko Muketsi. But yeah, thank you for stopping by. Hope you can lurk for a little bit, and you're always welcome here. Everyone is welcome. Lucille Bluth, yes, Loose Seal. You watch Arrested Development, you'll get that reference. Not a TV show, but I've been watching a lot of big Tekken 8 tournaments. There have been a lot of really good matches. I need to catch up on those. I heard recently, like, some guy participated with a PlayStation 1 controller and everyone kind of lost their minds over it. And I also saw a tweet recently from, was it Katsuhiro Harada, the producer of Tekken 8? Because people right now, I don't know if anyone's aware, or if people here are generally aware of this, but right now, people are sort of lobbying the creators of Tekken 8 to include a Waffle House stage as an area that you can fight in, like a Waffle House parking lot, which is I 100% get behind that idea. That is an incredible idea. But at the same time, it's interesting because, like, Katsuhiro Harada has, like, entered this, like, fascinating spiral of trying to figure out why there are so many fights outside of Waffle Houses and inside. And he wants to know, like, why the staff gets involved in these fights as well. It's an incredible it's an incredible clash of cultures and attempting to understand. But yes, please include Waffle House in Tekken 8. That would be incredible. I'd even pay for it. I'd hate to say it. But you know, Waffle House is pretty good food, I won't lie. Come for the food, stay for the violence. That should be their slogan. My favorite moment from Impractical Jokers was seeing Q on stage with Rosie O'Donnell as an example of a clone technology. Oh yeah, I remember that one. That was a good one. I'd say one of my favorite moments and most cringe-inducing ones was when Sal had to go into a huge bingo hall and shout bingo constantly, even when he'd not won. And it was brutal to watch. I haven't had the time to watch much, but I've been enjoying Dungeon Meshi. What's that about? Other than dungeons. Also, hello Star, how are you doing? Nice to have you here. Yeah, I've never heard of Dungeon Meshi. Brahma Yugam is a Malayalam film from Kerala, Indian. Oh. Is like something that's taking off quite now? It was a bit of a hit. So yeah, I've never heard of that before. Then again, I have to admit I'm not like super clued into a lot of foreign cinema right now. I'm a bit out of the loop. I used to be in the loop pretty thoroughly, but yeah. That's how it goes. I just found out there's a YouTube adaptation of Persuasion called Rational Creatures. I have not heard of either of those, if I'm honest. My Adventures with Superman, AHS, is the best Superman ever. He is such a goofus and kind. My Adventures with Superman. Is that a comic or is that a show? South Korea lacks social activism. I mean the R issue. Yeah, not enough. I mean, there's been movements, you know, as I spoke about in my video about South Korean sexism. At least there's something, and at least it is something that has gained way more momentum than many movements that came before it. So it's something, it's a start at the very least. And not only is it a start, it's a start that yielded some results as well, which is great because, you know, that's always opening the door for potential other movements in the future. As a laugh, I've been watching episodes of Gogglebox UK and Ireland. They have the funniest reactions. Gogglebox is shockingly huge in the UK. For those of you who don't know, Gogglebox is sort of a reality show in the UK. And this idea is going to sound very stupid to people who have no idea what this show is. Because it is stupid, but people love it anyway. But Gogglebox is a TV show in which they record people, like families, couples, single people, etc., reacting and commenting upon TV shows that they're watching. So it'll be like watching, it could be like, you know, a prime minister debate or something like that, a news broadcast, a soap opera, whatever, and it will literally just cut to different households of them making their comments on it. It's the OG reaction content because Gogglebox existed long before reaction content was a thing on YouTube. But yeah, it is very, very popular. I gotta admit, I don't see the appeal. If Russia allowed immigrants, Siberia could have been an engine of growth. That's the thing. Immigrants of all backgrounds, they all have something to offer. They all can help encourage growth. Like, to be honest, like, you only have to look at the NHS in the UK to see the immense amount of value that immigrants have brought into the country. Because I think it's like 1/3 of the NHS staff, including nurses and doctors, are people that immigrated from other countries. And without them, NHS would literally fall apart overnight. Like I said, that's 1/3 of people who are working for them. And yet there are still people there who will like go to hospital under emergency care and say that they like don't want an Indian doctor or something. I was like, that is awful. Like, what the fuck do you think they're gonna do? I mean, you know, obviously they'll be under the persuasion that like, or they'll be under the impression that like they're not as skilled as like the British doctor or something. But like, God, what a load of nonsense. Plenty of xenophobes in the US too. Pfft, no kidding. I demand you center my cowardice in public policy. Seems to be the translation of their attitude. It's insufferable. It really is. I'm amazed that we haven't touched on the whole Trump trial yet. I don't have much to say about it, but goddamn, 34 counts. 34 counts and he can still run for president. What a country. He can I was looking it up and he can literally be the president from prison. What is that? And that could very still potentially happen. Why is that normal? And yet there are still people out there that complain about felons having voting rights. They can't vote, but one of them can be president? Anyway. Waffle House, really? Yeah, they're all going for it. They are gung-ho on getting Waffle House in Tekken 8. And I'm all for it. Yeah, I remember you saying, Dio, that you had the joy of seeing a Waffle House scuffle. Except it wasn't as fun because you said that someone shot a gun in the parking lot or something like that, which is horrifying. I've never experienced violence in a Waffle House. Every time I've been there, it's always been like the morning or something. But I will say, those pecan waffles, it's worth it. It's worth getting punched for a pecan waffle. Do they do turkey bacon at Waffle House? I don't eat pork anymore, so I have to stick to turkey bacon now. Dungeon Meshi is an anime, half adventure, fantasy, half cooking show. They cook the monsters, very interesting world building, and it's quite a ride. Starts goofy and gets more intense as it goes. Kind of sounds like Monster Hunter in that respect then. But you know, as concepts go, I gotta give it to him. That's pretty unique. Persuasion as in the novel. Oh, okay, that makes more sense. My Adventure with Superman is a HBO cartoon about Clark's first year as Superman, meeting Lois Lane, etc. Oh, yeah, I'd never heard about that one. I have HBO Max, thanks to my father-in-law. But yeah, I hadn't seen that one advertised. I keep seeing the show Hacks advertised, and I've got to admit, I'm not too interested in it. Nearly got shot. Might post a video on Discord. Yeah, you're welcome to. Might put a spoiler over it and just explain what might be in it. But yeah, goddamn. I gotta say, at the very least, despite my time in America, as far as I'm aware, I don't think I've been close to gun violence yet. I do hear guns, and I hate the fact that I am becoming, I guess, desensitized to hearing guns. That's not a good sign, I think. But yeah, because sometimes I'll hear like a gunshot outside. And the difference between, because sometimes you can wonder whether it's like fireworks as well. But I've heard that the difference between gunshot sounds and firework sounds is that fireworks echo when they bang, whereas gunshots do not echo. That's supposed to be how you can tell the difference. I don't know how much truth there is to that, but yeah, that's what I've heard. I don't have game controllers. Is it more relaxing to sit and play? Generally, you know what, these days, as someone who grew up as a PC gamer, and, you know, is very accustomed to mouse and keyboard, I will say these days I generally prefer to just recline with a controller and just enjoy myself that way instead of, you know, being over like here. And plus, I have carpal tunnel in my right hand, and using my using my mouse too much can end up aggravating that. But then again, it also aggravates whenever there is a video game which has button mashing in it. Fuck button mashing. Just make it so you hold it down in every single game. Millennial here rolling his eyes at the 10th time. This is unprecedented times event in my lifetime. Yeah, there seems to be a lot of those in the past few years, yet nothing really seems to come of them. Odd that, isn't it? And, you know, that's just... it's weird. We're hyper-normalized, I guess, of all the just bizarre things that keep happening. You know, first time in history that we have an ex-president being convicted of a felony of 34. And we have not only that, but it would be the first time ever that an ex-president has been convicted, that a assumed party nominee will be a felon, and potentially a president has been a felon. And he would also break, if Trump did get re-elected, he would actually break another previously held one-time thing, because the only U.S. president to have two non-consecutive terms was Grover Cleveland. I can't remember when it was, but he was elected, then he lost, and then in the election after that, he was re-elected again. So he had two non-consecutive terms. If Trump manages to do that, he will be the second to do that. Unprecedented times. Did you try Genshin Impact, Wuthering Waves, etc.? Gacha phenomenon is a big thing right now. I used to play quite a bit of Genshin Impact, like around the time when it first came out. But once I started hitting that paywall, when things just got so much harder because I wasn't shelling out for stuff that helped improve my power levels and stuff, I got really bored of it at that point, so I've not really returned to it. Wuthering Waves I've heard about, but I do not really know anything about. Is it any good? Because I think the only thing that I've tried recently, I got into the beta for Zenless Zone Zero. And I played quite a bit of that. And it was enjoyable. There are some questionable elements to it, like, you know, it's not open world, and it has this weird, like, roguelike minigame to basically navigate the world, but the combat is pretty solid. And I will say that the animations in Zenless Zone Zero, for a free-to-play game, those animations are staggeringly good, especially in the cutscenes. Yeah, and Trump is ridiculous. Like, can we have a president that is, like, not wearing diapers? Like, can we just have someone that's, like, I don't know, 40 or 50, you know? Someone that is just not close enough to the grave that could potentially drop dead at any moment while they're sat in the Oval Office. Like, well, I mean, we had Obama, but I'm talking, like, as our selections stand now. I mean, Bernie Sanders was a great option, but, you know, he was quite old as well. He'll outlive both Trump and Biden. I pretty much can guarantee that, because that guy is healthy as hell. But yeah, goddamn, like, have someone that at least is going to live long enough to see the consequences of their actions as a president. Trump is at his "I never said lock her up" phase. I didn't know that. I was thinking it's kind of ironic he spent all that time saying lock her up, and now he potentially faces going into a jail cell himself. I'm sure he doesn't appreciate that irony, but still. Friends have been trying to get me into Honkai Star Rail and say it's got a lot of quality of life updates over Genshin. I'm also wanted to play it for the dumb cowboy they just released. I've heard Honkai Star Rail is pretty good. It's more like a JRPG combat system from what I've heard. Am I right? I've never tried it though. Now recently I've been replaying Nier Automata. You know, as you may know, or you probably could have guessed from watching some of my videos, it's one of my all-time favorite games. It makes me feel things very strongly. It has a closing credits that can make you cry, which I can't say about anything. And I wanted to introduce my wife to it as well, because she's never played it, but she knows that I think very highly of it. We're about to reach the end of Ending C, so we are about very close to wrapping the whole thing up. But yeah, still a very good game. Very, very good game. Like, Yoko Taro is a weird guy, but damn if he isn't a genius. It's very player friendly, constantly making improvements. Its combat system is OP, so free to play friendly part. Okay, that's good, because yeah, like hitting that power wall in these free to play games, that's always like the real downer, to be honest. Like, it's just like, oh, I feel so weak now, but if I want to get stronger, I have to grind and all that kind of stuff. I don't know, I might give it a try. Nier Replicant also a brilliant game, but yeah, good lord, does Nier Replicant go out of its way to make you feel like shit at times. In a good way. I like games like that, ones that, like, you know, make you feel something you didn't expect. And Nier Replicant, oh boy, does that make you feel bad at times. Yeah, Honkai Star Rail is apparently turn-based and is an open world, both of which I'm in favor of, especially because being turn-based means that there's an auto-battle system for grinding. Yeah, that's more appealing, I think, in a way. And also, you know, with Genshin, if you're playing it on the phone, I really don't like the whole, like, controls on the screen thing. That's never boded well for me. I'd also found out that Metal Gear Solid 3 had some closing credits that made me cry. Yeah, the credits on that, without spoiling anything. Yeah, those ones are a tearjerker as well. You should try a hidden gem in Wii called Fragile Dreams Farewell Ruins of the Moon. That's a long name. I waited 13 years to play that game because I didn't have a good PC. It was a good game of its time. I gotta admit, I've never heard of that one before. Fragile Dreams Farewell Ruins of the Moon. Anyone else played Wizard or Pirate 101? That was my game at like 13, 17. I've never heard of. Well, those like it does sound like CD-ROM games. Am I right in saying that? who's excited for Elden Ring DLC. Bit of a controversial take, but I gotta admit, I'm not looking forward to it really, because I wasn't a big fan of Elden Ring. And I know that's like blasphemy to some people, but my reasoning behind it is like, I've been playing these games since Demon Souls on PS3, you know, the very first of the Souls-like games, and I loved it. I loved that. I loved Dark Souls. I even really like Dark Souls 2, even though it's very popular to shit on it on the internet. Dark Souls 3, really good. But I'm a bit tired of the formula of the, you know, roll, hit, roll, hit, roll, Estus, that kind of thing. And I know they added some extra elements to Elden Ring, like the ashes and everything, but it just doesn't do it for me anymore. I have said that publicly to some people who did not like me saying it. I was just, you know, it's just worn off on me. The charm is worn off. Like, it's a wonderful game. It's a meticulously crafted game. I can't fault it for that. But the feeling of it, for me, it's just waned. But I really like Bloodborne, and I really like Sekiro, and I would love it if they explored those a bit more than just the Souls formula. I really hope that the next game they release isn't just a Souls game in a different wrapping. Nier Automata is amazing. A friend let me in in high school, and it really changed the way I think about things. Yeah, it is an eye-opener, especially just, you know, how it makes you feel about what video games can be, really. It's a very special thing for the medium. You'll find this interesting. I found out about Boy Love Anime, which is about this 30-year-old gay guy whose virginity has given him mind-reading powers based on touch. That's unique. Yeah, sure. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't intrigued. No, it was an RPG that was free and also used to play Pixie Hollow, which was like a social fairy game where you lived in Tinkerbell's Hollow and you made your own. Yeah, I've never heard about that before. Free RPG. When was this around? What year was it around? Have you tried any of David Cage's games like Heavy Rain and Detroit Become Human? Yes, I've played both of those actually. Heavy Rain, I remember a few years back my wife played through it. Heavy Rain is kind of like The Room, like Tommy Wiseau's The Room of video games, in that it falls into the so bad it's good category. And you know, it just takes itself so seriously. A lot of the acting is terrible in it, and I don't fault the actors for that. I fault the director. And yeah, there's just so many moments that just stick out, like Sean, Jason, and it's just, yeah. And you know, kudos to them for trying. But I will say that Detroit Become Human was an improvement. I really like the characters in that one. Story wasn't amazing, but it did have some good themes to it. A little heavy-handed, I won't lie. But you know, like, I really liked Connor, the android in that one. Like, Connor was great. I loved Connor. I could have played a whole game with just Connor. But yeah, much better. I don't know what the hell they'll do next, but I do know that David Cage is kind of an arsehole as well, so there's that too. Interesting experiences. Your opinion on Shadow of the Colossus PS4 edition? I actually replayed that recently. I ended up getting PlayStation Plus for cheap, and that was like part of the games available on it. Yeah, I replayed it. Wonderful game. Mechanically, it doesn't hold up very well. There's some stuff that's still very frustrating compared to like modern titles. But, you know, its overall feel, the presentation, the tragedy that is the tragedy that underscores the story, like all of that stuff is very potent. But yeah, like I said, undermined a little bit by its dated design principles, especially with controls, even with the update that they included with it. But still very good. Still a classic, I would say. So you're not on Twitch, you can do Elden Ring slander. That's fine. I'm open to this stuff. Yeah. I didn't hate it. I'll say that about Elden Ring. I didn't hate it. But I wasn't too enthused about getting through it. Alright, tell you what. I just remembered I have my tea waiting for me. Hopefully it's not cold right now. But I'll be back very quickly. I'm just going to put it on the BRB screen. But yeah, 1 second. Sorry. Alright, I'm back already with some slightly above lukewarm tea. Keeps me alive. Legally, you have to drink tea if you're from the UK. Really liked Assassin's Creed Mirage. It brought the franchise back to its root. If it ever goes on sale, I'll probably give that a try. But admittedly, I have kind of... I never used to be a super fan of Assassin's Creed, but I have cooled off on the franchise in recent years. Yeah. Plus, I despise Ubisoft as a company as well. Like, the more I can avoid supporting, and this isn't judging anyone for buying Ubisoft games, just to be clear, but yeah, like their monetization, Jesus Christ, like they make Activision look modest. Oh yeah, I finished, and this might interest you, Star. I finished the new Ace Attorney trilogy recently, just last night in fact. Very good games, very enthralling. I never played them on the DS and 3DS, but if you ever see them like on sale or anything, yeah, the Ace Attorney trilogies and the Apollo Phoenix trilogy are both very good. I do love detective games, I will say that. That's one of my soft spots. Yeah, except that one case, yeah. In Apollo Justice, in Ace Attorney Dual Destinies, the second case in that one is horrible. Like, I won't get into details since, you know, it's no use going over it if you're not familiar. But yeah, that was the big down point on that one. But every other case, you know, very interesting. Figuring out all the details, putting them together. Completely unrealistic court proceedings, but you know, who cares? Do you think isekai anime is popular these days because of wanting to escape from the hardships of real life? Well, I think, yeah, I kind of covered that on my video about anime in high school. Yeah, I was considering doing a whole video on the isekai thing, but I figured that I might not have that much to speak about for such a singular topic. But yeah, I would definitely say that like the escapism aspect is a big selling point for it, because you know, media in general is escapism, but when it comes to media like anime, the protagonist is a big deal. And protagonists, especially male protagonists, often serve as surrogates for male viewers. And obviously, you know, women and other people do enjoy these products, but they are made by men, primarily aimed at men as well. So it's undeniable that, you know, those people are included there for the sake of the male viewers. But yeah, you know, the more life sucks, the more we look towards media to make us feel better about ourselves, or even just like give us some kind of insight about the world around us and everything. And like I mentioned earlier, we've been watching The White Lotus recently, and something like that and a show like Succession does a good job of like contextualizing the mega rich and their mindsets and how they see the world around them, etc. So yeah, like that in its way is its own form of escapism. Like it helps you step outside of your bubble so you can see what's happening with other people or what things could be like if things were different. Detroit Become Human is probably the best face animation / acting ever in video games, and that was in the PS4 engine. Nothing has ever looked so real or emotions like that. See, there was, I mean, God of War Ragnarok has some stellar facial animations, I will say that. The facial animations in Detroit Become Human were really good, and The Last of Us Part 2, I probably would say, would take the award for the best facial animations. Like, they did some really good stuff there. They also did some really good stuff in regards to like what people look like when they get murdered in horrible ways, which is grotesque. And I hate the fact that I hate the idea that the artists who worked on those games had to actually look up real life versions of that, because otherwise where they're going to get it from. But yeah, that was stellar in that one. I remember when like LA Noire was supposed to be a big deal for those facial animations, but now we look back on it in the past and they just look really weird. As for acting, like one performance that I really liked in recent years was actually in Final Fantasy 16. They had an amazing cast of actors and characters on there, and they gave it their all, including Ralph Ineson, who played the voice of Sid, and he's also a voice in Diablo 4 as well. And Ralph Ineson is from where I'm from Leeds, and people absolutely loved him. It was nice to see that. I'm back with a cup of cha. Yeah. Oh yeah, speaking of shows and video games, I heard that that Prime Video is going to be making a show based on the Yakuza / Like a Dragon series, which I know they did a great job with Fallout. I watched that. That was really good. I'm not sure how they can handle a Yakuza game. I don't think they can. Yeah, those Yakuza games have a very specific charm to them. You know, even though the drama in those games come from like very cinematic cutscenes, I still don't know how well it translates into being a show. They kind of like caught lightning in a bottle with Fallout the TV show, because they had a very good creator on board. There was Jonathan Nolan and Lisa Joy, who both made Westworld. They're very talented, and the show was in good hands. But outside of that, I know video game products outside of video games, like movies and shows, are better these days than what they used to be. But I don't know. I always feel skeptical about it. Maybe I'm being too cynical. Who knows? Detective arriving on the scene. Detective Harry Dubois. The hobo cop. I just realized ages ago I was supposed to do a giveaway for Disco Elysium. I mentioned it at the end of a video and I never got around to it. How bad of me. But the thing is, you know, Twitch has really good features built in where you can do a giveaway with your viewers, where they just have to like type a command in and they're enrolled. YouTube, and Star will back me up on this, is very lacking in features like that. So doing a giveaway, the only way I could think about doing it, like making it feasible, would be to like advertise it in the stream and then say, go to my Discord, you know, like send a link like this one, and then say, go to my Discord, then go to this channel, then click on this so you can enroll into the giveaway. And it just feels very clumsy doing it that way. but that might be my only choice. When we did a giveaway for the D&D stream series, we had people could submit a Google form. Yeah, it's terrible. Yeah, I think part of it is like it's difficult for bots to work with YouTube's API. Like they don't mesh very well, which is why you may have noticed, like with my chat widget, whenever you use custom emotes, like I'll post one right now. Like, you know, custom emote shows up in the main chat, but it doesn't show up properly in the YouTube chat. And it's same with like other YouTube emotes as well, like this one. Well, eventually when it shows up. Yeah, it doesn't show up properly. But, you know, in fact, Star, you sent me that widget. I should really just bite the bullet and buy that one since I know that it works. I always just feel like I'd be stealing from you, you know, stealing your style. You can make an entire video about the monetization of The Sims. My wife might be the one that's more well versed on that one because she is a Sim fanatic, but also is very critical on the series. So that might be her essay, or at least she'd have to very much inform me of all the stuff. But I have seen some of the bullshit from it. Like I remember reading, well, I heard it from my wife, that there was like a DLC locked behind other DLC. Like I think it was like for a hamster or something. You needed to have an expansion to unlock another paid pack for it. It's hard to explain, but yeah, it was like, I remember a lot of fans were not happy with that situation. They need to release those other games, the competitors, like what's it called? Life by You and Paralives. Those need to come out into the open. Like The Sims has never had any proper competition. It is time. It is long past due. I stole it from another streamer. It's fine. Fair enough. You could customize it to look pretty similar to what you have now. Yeah, I wasn't sure about like the customization options, like what it offers, because it didn't say too much on the listing. But yeah, I'll go for it. May as well. I got 24-hour ban on the Valorant internet. On Valorant, internet got cut off for a few minutes. Oh god, that sucks. Can you appeal it? How are they about appealing? I mean, I know Valorant isn't very good at catching their most like toxic players. I played Valorant for a little bit shortly after it came out. I was actually in the beta for it. I played like 3 matches and I was like, fuck this. These people are awful. I never want to talk to any of these people ever again. And then I stopped playing Valorant forever. You know, I used to love competitive multiplayer games, like where you communicate with other people. But like, as time went by, like, it just loads me with anxiety these days. Like, every single time like I load into a lobby for a competitive game, this anxiety just like wells up in me, like, what if they're awful? Like, you're going to be stuck with these people for the next so many minutes. Maybe they'll yell at you, maybe you have to go out of your way to mute them. If you do mute them, you'll end up leaving yourself at a disadvantage because you can't talk to them. And it all just comes flooding in and you're just like, maybe just don't play competitive anymore. Appeal of permanent ban. This is because you were not there in a team to support. So they offer like no exceptions if it's an internet issue or anything. That sucks. The newest great EA idea of The Sims is the Battle Pass that started this week. Oh my god, I did not know that. On a game that costs over $1,000 to get all the DLC. I didn't know it, but I am not surprised. It's EA. I'm surprised they haven't done it sooner, to be honest with you. How do you even level up a Battle Pass in The Sims? In multiplayer games, 90% of your satisfaction comes from the people that you play with. It's an important but often overlooked field that you need good social design to encourage interactions. That's true, yeah. And it's one of the big reasons why I took to Final Fantasy XIV so well, because they have such a good community in those games. You know, very helpful and friendly. And it is so rare that I've had such a, like, any terrible interactions with people. So that works for me. It's not super competitive. There is PvP, but you know, as online communities go, it's rock solid. I feel anxiety because time felt wasted after finishing Battle Royale ones. Yeah, I never got into Battle Royales because, like, I always feel like if you end up dying so early or something like that, you know, if you're like one of the first 10 or 20 people to die, you're just like, well, that was a waste of time. And I don't feel like waiting in the lobby over and over again just so I can potentially die early again. Don't want to get killed by Ninja. That would be embarrassing. Racing games kind of died off from the mainstream because of no innovation, I feel. Yeah, they don't really have fun with racing games anymore. I mean, there are some really fun ones out there, like the Hot Wheels games, Lego 2K Drive. You know, those are really fun. But, you know, like the Team Sonic Racing and stuff like that. Solid kart games, but you don't see them anymore. And as for like the big games, you have like Forza and Gran Turismo, and they're just kind of what they've always been, really. It's not really any changes. Need more weird racing games, you know, stuff that takes a bit of a gamble. But they are pretty expensive to produce, especially for the cost of the licenses to use the brands. And that's really where the money is in those games. Make something interesting and people will come. Just like with anything else in life. Racing games died because nothing reaches the heights of Mario Kart. Yes, Mario Kart, it's in the god tier. But I will say, those Team Sonic racing games, those All-Star Sonic racing games, I can't remember the title. Those are very, very good kart racing games that were highly overlooked. Yes, F-Zero, bring back F-Zero for God's sake. I miss F-Zero so much. It's that's been a personal one of mine where I'm like, just bring it back. I don't care how you do it. And the reason why they haven't brought back F-Zero is Miyamoto said like, oh, we can't bring it back because we can't think of anything new to do with it. Don't care. Just, you can do like the same stuff that you did in like F-Zero GX. Give it a spit and polish, you know, make it HD, make it widescreen, all that kind of stuff. Keep it as it is. Release it on the Nintendo eShop for like $20-$30. Doesn't have to be too much or anything. Boom. And of course add multiplayer. That's it. That's money right there. Money on the table. Guarantee it. But no, it's like, ooh, we have to innovate. Like, you don't have to innovate all the time, alright? But just, you know, you can release remasters of like Metroid Prime. You can do it for this too. Cowards. That's what Nintendo are. My friend Will is in one of those Sonic racing games. He lent his voice and likeness to Willimus in the Roman. Oh, quite the celebrity then. Oh yeah, I forgot that they had the Total War characters in that. They had some weird characters in that, I remember. You said full-time YouTube in one video, but do you do another job? No, YouTube is my full-time. Due to various mental health related reasons, I'm unable to work a lot within the span of a week. I mean, I do this in a full-time capacity, but yeah, due to like some past trauma stuff that I won't get into, it's difficult for me to get into the flow of a regular work life, which makes failing on YouTube all the more daunting because I end up wondering like, well, what the hell do I do if this doesn't work out? But this is something for the therapist. But yes, I do this full time, which is why support is always welcome. You know, I hate sounding like I'm begging or anything like that for like memberships or Patreon pledges, but that is unfortunately the bread and butter of YouTube, because the algorithm is not great and the revenue from YouTube is absolutely terrible. So we need like more stable sources of income outside of those areas. They need to hire the guys that remade Demon Souls to remake F-Zero. Yeah, Blue Point Studios. Yeah, I mean, they probably don't even need to do that. Like I said, they can just spit polish F-Zero GX and bring it up that way. I mean, Nintendo are capable. Well, actually, I don't know who redid Metroid Prime, because they did a really good job of that one. But yeah, just like, whatever, really. Just bring it back. ADHD, I have it and I can't mentally feel well when it involves academics. Can control 100 thoughts, come out exponentially. Yeah, I have ADHD and I have various symptoms related to that as well. There's all kinds of stuff that link into it. But yeah, the ADHD stuff, which I ended up being diagnosed with in my adulthood. And, you know, by that point, I'd gone through much of my life, my childhood, my teenage years with ADHD, not knowing what the problem was. So I've only in recent years been able to embrace what that entails. So, you know, and part of that was, you know, understanding my anxieties with work life. Like, it is this, and it's one of those things where it's like, I end up feeling just, I guess, like I'm being lazy because I can't get into like the full-time 40-hour plus work week because I see like everyone else is doing it. And I was like, what the fuck is wrong with me? Like, why can't I put myself out there? Why can't I commit that time? Part of it is just because it's time. Like, if I give 40 hours of my life every single week to something which I don't like doing, that doesn't feel rewarding, that I'm just doing for a paycheck, I don't know, for lack of a better term, it pains me. I'm just like, it feels like it's been stolen from me, basically. Like, I don't want to relinquish that, but I have to. Like, you know, anyone in the job that's full-time has to do that, or even part-time. You know, you're giving it up just because you have to pay your rent, you have to pay bills and all that kind of stuff. And that's just the follies of capitalism, really. But yeah, it sucks, and you know, I guess my anxieties kick in a little bit harder than most people. You know, there'll be people that fully sympathize where I'm coming from. But yeah, it's difficult to contend with. And like I said, if this doesn't work out, I have no idea what happens next. I don't want to be a video editor because I can't stand video editing. It's a necessary evil for this job. And yeah, I have no idea what happens next. It's a terrifying thought, if I'm honest with you. It's something I've definitely gone into with detail in my therapist sessions, that's for sure. I have schizoaffective, so I know how it feels to have anxiety. Yeah, and that's one thing as well, like a lot of people don't understand there's like different sort of flavors of anxiety too that affect our method of operations in our daily lives. And for me, I'd say that a lot of it ends up like the ADHD stuff, for example, like that often can put me in a point where it's just like choice paralysis, where you don't know what to do, or the thought of approaching a task can feel too daunting, so you end up putting it off a bit too much, which, you know, is something that's very common with ADHD people. And I've learned to like come up with methods to cope with that. Like, you know, when it comes to doing something, I'll end up just like saying to myself, like, just do it, just go, just get started. Once you get started, you'll be in it, and then you can do it. Like, that's all you got to do. Just get started, break the seal, and you can go. And that works for me. You know, if it's like, I got to clean the bathroom, I've been putting it off for so long. Like, just another day, should be fine. It won't get any more worse. Or you could do it now. Just go do it. Get the soap, get the sponge, get a magic eraser, whatever it might be. Just go there. Go do it. Get started. You will be fine once you start. And that generally works for me. But work, 40 hours, 50 hours, 60 hours. I've worked a 60-hour job before. Awful job. Worst job I've ever had. And that is what really gave me the scars that made it difficult for me to return to the workplace. I was horribly undervalued there. I had people talk to me like I was absolute garbage there. And I had people who actively prevented me from growing in my career there. And I'm not kidding. That's not me, coming up with a conspiracy or something. I had a superior tell me to my face that they don't want me advancing in the company because they feel like I'm a poor representative, and they cut me down at the knees to prevent me from a career opportunity there. And I wish them the worst, if I'm honest with you. I don't mince words in that respect. I wish them the worst. Because they contributed to just how I feel now. Like, they've made me feel worthless. And I still feel worthless a lot of the times. Like, I look at view counts. I look at dropping subscribership. I look at all these different details. I look at people dropping their Patreon pledges. And I know a lot of the times people drop them just because the financial situations change. I'm not going to criticize them for that. Absolutely not. But it is like, because one thing else I realize as well, and this is something also quite recent, is that I have rejection sensitivity, which is a byproduct of ADHD. And that makes it so that like all the little things that work in your detriment end up impacting you a lot harder than it does other people. And that is because there are just simply some parts of your brain that don't properly rationalize the reality of a situation. So for example, like, say you send a text message to a friend or you DM them, whatever, and could just be a simple thing like, hey, how are you doing? Or, hey, you want to hang out this weekend? It's been a while. They don't respond. They leave you on read, or they don't even leave you on read. They leave you unread. And most people would look at that and just probably think to themselves, that's fine, they're probably busy. Doesn't matter. Maybe the numbers changed. It has been a while. But people with rejection sensitivity tend to look towards the worst possible situation, and a lot of people without rejection sensitivity do that as well. But with rejection sensitivity, it's like you can't change those feelings. Like, someone might look at a message being left on read and think like, well, fuck them. Like, how can they not respond to my message? I'm their friend. And then tell themselves, well, you know what? It's probably fine. But with people with that rejection sensitivity, they look at it and think like, what did I do wrong? Have I done something to offend them? Like, am I just not worth responding to anymore? Should I have reached out to them longer ago and spoke to them and kept them in my life? Should I have been a better friend? Was I not a good friend when I was in their life? Do they just not want to think about me anymore? Oh my god, like, what have I done? Like, I shouldn't have sent this message in the first place. I should have just left this out of my life completely. Cut this friend out completely. Just left them be. We can go our own separate ways. Because in that case, what we could have done is just continue with our lives as they were. I wouldn't be in this situation if I never reached out to this person. It's like that. It's not really catastrophizing. It's like trying to figure out that part of your head which is like, it turns simple things into regrets, I guess. And that's the kind of thing that I've like realized has been a pattern in my life. And as a result, I also have to admit that being a YouTuber, and I genuinely mean this, is a terrible job for someone like me. And that is because a lot of a person's validity, a lot of their self-worth is dictated through numbers, through view accounts, through subscriber counts, through Patreon pledges, through tips, through members, through subscriptions, all that kind of stuff. All of these numbers are an amalgamation of worth for the person who creates content. And I think that like any YouTuber would agree with me in that respect. Anyone that makes content would agree with me in that respect. And as much as we tell ourselves over and over again, this isn't you, this isn't a measure of your worth, for me, it is so hard to detach myself from that idea. Like, it really is. Like, if I see a video doesn't do very well, I'm just like, what did I do wrong? Like, why can I not keep people around? Like, why are people just forgetting about me? Why am I becoming nothing anymore? And it's a painful feeling. It really is. And therefore, I have to admit, even though I enjoy doing what I do, I very much have to come to the conclusion that, and well, just to be clear, even though I enjoy doing what I do, and I will continue to do what I do, there is an incompatibility with what the job entails versus what I should be doing for myself. But it is what it is, and I do my best to cope with it. Damn, you're all my therapist now, apparently. But yeah, it's just life. It is what it is. This is a weird job. Maybe one day I'll be better with it. Maybe I'll be able to cope with complicated feelings. And, you know, maybe things will change. YouTube's a weird game. One moment you can be on top of the world, the next you can be in a ditch. And next moment after that, you could be on your way back up to the top of the world. But most small channels just end up spending their times like Sisyphus, pushing that boulder up a hill, and occasionally it falls back down again. Occasionally they just get stuck with the boulder right there and they can't move it an inch. And right now I think that's where I might be, if I were to think about it, I guess. But I appreciate the kind comments, you know. I don't mean sound fatalistic or anything like that. But you know, I do believe in being fully upfront about, you know, how I feel, how I think. I don't want a pity party or anything like that. You know, I appreciate sympathy, definitely, I do. Because, you know, in this kind of work as well, it can be the case where like you end up putting out there that you know, it's a tough job and that there are like some incompatibilities with you and what the job entails. And, you know, a lot of people look at YouTube as like being a fairly glamorous job. You know, I get the privilege of being able to sit here and talk with you and have people say that they admire my work. And, you know, I have some people who very kindly donate money to me because they want me to continue doing this. And that is and always will be an astonishing thing to me. Like, every single person that offers me support on Patreon or as a member, going out of their way to give me money, you have no idea like how much that warms my heart. Like, and I'm not just trying to pander or anything like that. Like, the fact that there are just strangers out there that like my stuff and are willing to like say, oh, you know, I like your stuff, here's $3, $5 to keep going. Like, oh my god. Like, the fact that someone can do that's a beautiful thing. And that's the kind of thing I try to focus on, you know? The beauty of another human being helping a stranger just because they want them to keep going. And that's great, you know? Have a good night, Pokraj. Once again, happy birthday. And hope you have a good tomorrow. Sleep well. I'm glad you have a therapist, though. This isn't a cure-all for everyone, but it can help. It can do, yeah. It's, you know, it's good to have that maintenance. It's good to have that level of maintenance there. You know, I will always have a life of just dealing with these things because, you know, I have anxiety, I have depression, I have ADHD. I get a lot of stress as well. So that maintenance is important. You know, it's not just looking for a cure, it's trying to maintain. But yeah. It is. I am very fortunate to be able to have one, and I do recognize that as well. And I'm very fortunate to have people that are willing to support me, whether that is family members, viewers, etc. Yeah, that is a very wonderful thing. And to all of you here as well, thank you very much. And thank you for hearing me out as well. I know this can be awkward, at times, but I appreciate it. But what I will do, since it seems some of you are going to be heading off to bed byes right now, is I will wrap up the stream, do the typical Yakuza end music. Well, thank you very much for watching, everyone. We had some fun times today, and we had a very emotionally open close to this stream, but I appreciate you hearing me out. It does mean a lot to me. I'll be back next week. Hopefully we'll be doing a baking stream again, where I'll be making madeleines, either orange or lemon. I haven't decided yet, but it should be a good time. I'll let you know more about it in the Discord, of course, which, if you're unaware, here's a link to my Discord channel. Thank you once again. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day, however long that might be. Sweet dreams. Have a good week. And I'll see you next time. Take care.